UNSW Law's China International Business and Economic Law Centre, or Cibel for short, is a long-term strategic initiative to develop research strength in areas related to international economic law with relevance to China in the 21st century.
This builds on pre-existing strengths in this area within the UNSW Faculty of Law. Located in Sydney, Australia, Cibel is a world-leading center in issues related to China, international economic and business law.
Our areas of research include international economic law, investment law, law of finance, competition law and policy, corporate and securities law, intellectual property law, and other related areas.
Recently, Cibel held the Asian WTO Research Network Conference at UNSW Law. This conference brought together 15 renowned experts from leading institutes across Asia and the Pacific, as well as the trade officials. Here's a taste of thought-provoking dialogues that took place.
I think a lot of people here are already very familiar with what the key issues and challenges are, in respect of the functioning of the multilateral trading system. You have the developed economies who feel that for the WTO system to continue to remain relevant, it needs to also adjust and respond in the context of rulemaking areas to how trade could be further promoted. So how do you sort of make the rules of the WTO system fair and equitable?
Is there any legal problem that can never be resolved between US and China? My answer, the research that I did, is to say no, there is no such a problem. But if you want to say that we can never resolve the problem, you can always say that. Politicians say that for attracting people's attention to show that they are important. But I do not really think there is an issue that cannot be really resolved.
Now we're dealing with a situation of kind of a leaderless world in terms of maybe not only trade, but certainly in trade and international economic relations. And so that there's this leadership void, and that this void has already caused and will lead to even more significant problems with the system.
The US sort of withdrawing from the multilateral system, withdrawing from the TPP, creates a power imbalance in the region. Before, the US was quite engaged, and the idea of being in the TPP in part was to be a rule maker in the Asia Pacific. But of course, with the US out, now you don't have that counterweight to China. Not only did Trump run on a platform of anti-trade, all of the candidates did. So in the US, in the Democratic Party primary between Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, Clinton completely disavowed the TPP. Sanders' trade message looks a lot like Trump's trade message, actually.
If history shows us anything, it shows us that sentiment about trade ebbs and flows, and that we're clearly in the face of strong populist anti-trade sentiment. And in that context, it's not productive to push hard on the idea of dispute settlement reform. The time for that will come. That time is not now.
What's the future? I think it's bleak. A rollback, less liberalization, reduced gains, fragmentation, increase of niche agreements, but no real hard-hitting agreements. I'll just say, where does it end? Maybe a return to multilateralism.
Before we agree on a negotiating agenda, expanding the negotiating agenda, we should agree on what are the issues that should be, put in place. And there should be a lot of discussion. And this is where even the ministerial meeting can play a role, which is not playing a role at the moment.